Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, I have something extra special for you. Our good friend Lisa G is with us tonight. So
Hello,
let's talk.
everyone.
Hi, everybody. Let's talk a little bit about Lisa. Lisa's always had a difficult life with her health. One part of her life that she enjoyed from childhood was combing hair, which led her to hair school and working in a beauty shop. She became one of the best hairdressers in her area. She also did a lot of volunteer work in her community, volunteering for her local school, including working in the lunchroom, sitting with children in class, and reading to them. She was even a baseball scorekeeper at Proviso East High School in Maywood, and she eventually became the president of Parent Affairs. She kept herself very, very busy. One day, as she was sweeping up her area in a beauty shop, she noticed her left ankle was swollen. She went to see the doctor. They checked it out. And at the age of 23, she was diagnosed with end stage renal disease and placed on dialysis for the first time. This caught our friend completely off guard. She was originally on home dialysis for 2 years, but then the infection started, so she had to switch to in center hemodialysis. She decided she wanted a kidney transplant and was listed at Rush University in Chicago. After 8 years on dialysis, she got the call from Rush that they had a kidney for her on January 21st, 1999. She was transplanted shortly thereafter. She has actually had a meeting with her donor family. I understand that went very well. She did advocacy work by participating with the NKF of Illinois, the Gift of Hope, and the Transplant Games in America. Unfortunately, in 2019, after routine testing, she received a call from her transplant center that her transplant kidney had shown a spot of cancer. It was decided the kidney should be removed and she would go back on dialysis. It has been 2 years, and on the 19th of this month, her case is being submitted to get her back on the kidney transplant list. Lisa is very glad to be alive, and her journey continues. Please give a warm welcome to our good friend Lisa G. Lisa, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty great tonight. I won't complain. All of my good days, they outweigh my bad days. So I really won't complain tonight, Uncle Tim.
Okay, that's great. Tell us a little bit. Did I state everything correctly in the
You
introduction?
did.
Did I miss
You
any?
did. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Coach Thomas saying hello. Our friend Monica Fox is here. Hi, Monica.
Hey, Monica.
Our friend Elizabeth Odom is here. So you got lots of friends checking out the broadcast tonight, Lisa.
All
Tell us a
right.
little.
All right.
Okay, tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your background, your educational experience.
Great. Yeah, I grew up right here on the west side of Chicago, Illinois. And growing up as a kid, it was pretty rough. I was born with a lot of birth defects. I'm not going to get into all of them because some of them I'm still learning, and I don't know the name of some of the birth defects that I was labeled as. And one of the birth defects that I did have, it caused nerve damage on one side of my face. And I was like that kid Chris Rock when I was in school. I was teased a lot, for part of my birth defects that I had no control of. And kids, they can be so rude, but
Mhm.
it's the way it was. And I had a hard time then. And as I grew older, my my side effect, it as you grow older, it grows to damage your body. And as I got older, it caused a lot of stress. So that was part of how I grew up with a birth defect. And I had my first surgery when I was only 7 years old, 7 or 8 years old. So I didn't had about, I can say about 60 surgery, slice, procedures in my life. So yeah, I had pretty rough growing up, but in spite of it all, I still count it all joy. I do.
Okay. How far did you go in school, Lisa?
I graduated from high school, and back then they had trades that you can pick up trades if you like to, and I really loved doing hair. So while I was in school, I signed up to go to hair school after high school. So I went to beauty school and I graduated in 9 months and I went straight into the beauty shop.
Okay, very good, very good. Can you talk to us a little bit about your grandmother? I understand you had a special relationship with your grandmother.
Yeah, my grandmother, she practically raised me. She raised me in the church. Actually, she just died this August the 2nd. She would have been 103 years old. She was one of my greatest supporters, and she have taught me how to fight the struggles, to carry God with me in everything that I do. So that was a big part of my life is how she raised me to go to church.
Okay. Sandra Campbell says hello, Lisa.
Hi, that's one of my church members. I have a lot of church members on here tonight also. Hi, United. To give a shout out to my church family. They are a very important support in my life also.
Tell us about the beauty shop that you worked in. Where did you work and how long did you work there?
Actually, while I was in school, I searched around for different beauty salons while I was in school. And this old lady, she had this shop in Maywood. And I was able to come into her shop while I was in school. And I was able to watch some of the beauticians work on clients' hair. And then I got a chance to experiment on hair as while I was in beauty school. So as while I was in beauty school, I was also building up my clientele.
No, excellent. Excellent.
Mhm.
I noticed that when we talked earlier about the quality of your work, you said you were one of the best in
Oh
your
yeah.
community.
Oh
Can you
yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, I was one of the best hairdressers in Maywood back in the day. I used to do all my family Jerry curls back in the day and everybody here on the block and giving discounts, giving discounts to different customers. Actually, I was one of the I was making a whole lot of money back then. Back then, Jerry curls was $50, and I had about 8, 9, 10 clients a day. I was very busy, but the thing about it was I wasn't watching my health, and that's I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
No, you're fine. Um,
Yeah,
our good friend Philip Jones from Second Chance is saying hello, Lisa. So just wanted to
hello.
give you a shout out. I understood at the time that in addition to working in a beauty shop, that you were doing volunteer work with children at school. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, during my time with kidney disease, I had two sons. And during that time, I was so sick that I wasn't able to care for my kids. And that was another problem. I was so afraid what was going to happen to my two boys while I was in and out of the hospitals. So the times that I was not in the hospital, I was volunteering at my kids' school. I would volunteer reading books to the kids. I would volunteer in the lunchroom. Actually, one of the kids that I used to read books to, he's a famous star now. He's a gospel singer. He goes by the name of Todd Delaney. he went to school with my oldest son. So, I can say that, I have done a lot in the community. I volunteered. I became the parent PTO president of the schools. It was a time when we say no child left behind, and back then we tried to make sure that no child was left behind. So yeah, I did a lot of volunteering in the school. And then with my youngest son, they both played sports, and they could not find anyone to keep the score in baseball. I love baseball, but Jim, there are some long innings, and it was some hot days out there. I was that person.
Yeah, well, I used to coach my own son, so yeah, I know how that goes. You can talk to us a little bit about being the scorekeeper at Proviso East High School in Maywood.
Oh yeah, I did it because no one else wanted to do it, and like I said back then, we showed our kids so much support back then. So there was a way of showing kids support. I was also one of my kids' football coaches. I was just known in Maywood. I just did a lot of volunteering. So
Okay.
yeah, I did a lot of volunteering and doing my kids' schooling.
Your boys at that time, what were their names and their ages during this period of time we're talking about?
Michael was 7. Martez, when I was carrying him, I didn't know I was pregnant. And they told me that I was pregnant and that I was carrying a Down syndrome baby. So at that time, I didn't know how I was going to take care of a sick baby and me being sick at the same time. So that's when my church family come in, and I had a couple, Tammy and David. They prayed over me and over my baby, and they said we don't believe in abortions, so we're gonna trust God that this baby is gonna come out normal. So my child was born 6 months early. He stayed in the incubator for, I think it was 2 months.
Wow.
But today you couldn't tell that he was that Down syndrome baby that they say he was. He's actually a professional boxer.
Oh,
So
right,
yeah.
right. I've seen you post about your son.
Yeah. And my other son, he's a actor and a model out there in California. So I'm very blessed in some of the work that I put in my children. And I also taught them one very important thing in life is to stick together. I always taught my 2 sons to love each other, to stick together because they all they got. At the end of the day, I want them to be this close. Mhm.
Well, that's great. That's great. One of the things that you wrote me about was a day that you were sweeping up the floor in your shop and you noticed something. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, I was finishing my last client for the day, and I noticed that my left ankle was swollen, and it was unusual. So I sat down for a while, and then I got back up and I finished sweeping my station, and I put everything away, make sure I unplug everything because I knew that something wasn't right. So I went home and I laid down and I elevated my feet. And as I elevated my feet, I could just feel the fluid just going down, just going down. And then I would pee. Scotty, that's the way. This is talking about kidney disease. So kidney disease, kidney is with has a lot to do with the P. So I elevated my legs and I could just feel the fluid coming down. And I went to the bathroom, let it out, come back, it swole again. So I had to elevate it again. And at that point, I knew that something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. So I had called two of my girlfriends over to come check on me. And I say, we need to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital and they did test after test after test. And my two friends, Lauren and Laurel, they stayed there with me. So then the doctor came back with the results. And they say, ma'am, you are in end stage renal failure. I say, what? What is that? And that's the day my life changed forever at the age of 23 years old.
Okay.
My whole youth was robbed from me. I was one of the richest girls in the neighborhood. I had it going on, Jim. I was almost there to open my own beauty shop. But kidney failure, it snatched me off guard. Just like that.
Okay. Can you give us some idea what year was this?
This was the year 1980, I'll say 86, 84,
86?
86, yeah.
Okay. Did they give you a diagnosis? Did they tell you what caused your kidneys to fail?
Yes, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. When I was working in the beauty shop, I was so busy working, I didn't have time to eat right. So I started eating all of this fast food, chicken wings, French fries, Coke, Pepsi. Oh, I had to have that salt shaker. I had to have it. But I didn't know that I was shortening my life with the way that I was eating.
Okay.
It caused salt, those brown pops. It causes high blood pressure, and it causes kidney failure. So everywhere I go, and if I see someone with a brown pop, oh, United Baptist Church, they know. I'd be like, oh, you got to put that pop down. That pop causes kidney failure. And they look at me, they be scared. They like, oh, I don't want to touch that pop anymore. So yeah, if I can just save one person from kidney disease, my mission is accomplished. And I just ask people to put that brown pop down. Put it down. That salt shaker, put it down. When you pick up that pop and that salt shaker, you think about me and what I had to endure with kidney disease. It's not easy. Every day, someone is dying from kidney disease.
Right, right. Between the time that you were diagnosed with end-stage renal disease and the time that you were first placed on dialysis for the first time, how much time passed?
The first time, it was 2 years. I did dialysis at home. So after 2 years, I thought I had it all together and I went on with my daily life, but doing peritoneal with the tube in my stomach and you do the drainage from home. And after so long, it can cause infections. And it's called, I forgot the name of that infection, but it's a
Peritonitis?
what do you say?
Peritonitis.
Peritonitis. That's a killer. On the way to the hospital is the worst part of going to the hospital with that infection, because once you get that infection, you have to go in the hospital to be treated. And every bump that you take on your way to that hospital was so painful.
Mm.
So I think they give you 3 or 4 strikes of getting that infection, and then you are disqualified for doing the home dialysis. And that's when you switch over to hemodialysis. And that's when you go in the center and they're using your blood. But when you're doing it at home, they're using fluid. There's a difference.
Okay. What I'm asking about, Lisa, is that after the doctor told you you had end-stage renal disease, did they do anything on an emergency basis to put you on dialysis? Did they put in a catheter or anything like that?
Well, the first time that they told me that I had end stage renal failure, I was in denial. I left the hospital and I went back to my normal life. I thought they were wrong. So I went back to my normal life, and I say 2 weeks later, I was rushed to the hospital, and that's when I had to have an emergency surgery. In my ingrown, they had to put a catheter down there. And during that time, I wanted to just throw up my hands and say, it's over. I thought my life was over. So
Okay.
that was the first time that I went on dialysis in the emergency room. Hmm.
You have talked to me a little bit about your mental state. Can you tell us, I know that you felt you were caught off guard. This was a young age. It was unfair. Tell us how you felt when they were telling you, you're going to have to be on dialysis, and this is an emergency basis and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, that goes back to my grandmother and church and faith in God. I thought I wasn't going to be able to make it, but I have a strong belief in God. And now, when it first happened, I was like, oh Lord, why me? Yes, that was my first words. Lord, why me? I thought I was living right. I went to church. I sing in the choir. I know how to treat people. Why did this have to happen to me? I was I was very angry. Honestly, it was like everything that moved, I hated it. That's how angry I was. So after a little while, I came to myself, because at first I was in denial. When chronic illness hit you, you don't know what you're gonna do. But that was my first thing I said was, Lord, why me? But now I'm at that stage. Why not me? God give us all a purpose here in life. And so many people have come to me and said, oh, Lisa, I thought you were going to die. I say, wow, I am so glad you are not my God, because my God has the last say so. And look at me now. I am still here. I have outlived so many people. Sometimes I look in the mirror and ask myself, how am I still here? I have been through so much in life, but God has a purpose for me. He has me here to encourage others, to let others know that there is hope. There's hope. You just have to hang on in there. Some people feel like we try to have a pity party. I don't want a pity party. Just give me a little mercy and grace. this is a rocky road that we as kidney disease patients are going through. And I don't wish this on my worstest enemy. No.
Your friend Jarcia Griffin is saying hello, and she also says, praise God for keeping you.
Yeah, we're in the choir together. Hey, Jay.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit. You mentioned something about home dialysis and infection. How many infections are we talking about, and what happened during that period of time?
Actually, if you're not very, very, very clean, anything can grabs your insight, the machine that you take home. And if you have children, your children should not be allowed in that certain space that you have, because if so, you will be infected. And like I say, once you get peritonitis, it's not a good feeling. I don't know if you have experienced that before, Jim.
I was always an in-center hemo guy, so no, that's one thing I
Oh,
haven't experienced.
okay. Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a very painful experience. And I think I experienced about 3 times of that.
Wow. And you mentioned that subsequent to that, that after that, you were doing in-center hemodialysis, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When did you begin to seek a kidney transplant?
Actually, like in my fifth, at first, I didn't know anything about transplantation and anything like that, because back then in the late 80s, 90s, it wasn't a lot of groups out like Give the Hope, National Kidney Foundation, and all these other groups that are out now. I think the Gift of Hope had just started in 1990. And when that group came out, that's when I started learning information about transplantation and things like that. So in my fifth or sixth year, back then, you had to wait. I think it was 8 years back then, Jim, that you had to wait in order to get on the transplant list. But now I think it's 5 years. Things have changed. So, yeah.
Okay. Tell us, where were you listed, Lisa?
I was listed at Rush University in Chicago.
Okay. And how long were you on dialysis before you got the call for a kidney transplant?
Actually, I did peritoneal dialysis for 2 years. And actually, when I was on peritoneal dialysis, that gives you the chance to travel. I got a chance to travel with my church family 1 year with my peritoneal dialysis. And I stayed on peritoneal dialysis, I think 2 or 3 years. And the remaining of the years, I did hemodialysis. I had, with hemodialysis, I had a graft put in my leg, and they would use these 2 big needles. They like crochet needles, one red for the red side and one for the blue side. And those 2 needle sticks, that's another painful story. And I would do that for 3.5 hours, 3 times a week. Yeah. So, and I have seen so many people lose their lives doing dialysis. Like I say, I don't know the numbers, but they are up there. So many people die a day waiting for a kidney transplant. And some people, they cannot even be on the dialysis, I mean on the transplant list. They have to live their life on dialysis. And I have seen a couple of people die on the machine. And, that kind of mess with your mental health. That's when your mental health comes in. But I serve a mighty God that, he keeps me strong, and I'm able to press my way through the hardships of life.
Okay. Our good friend Anthony Reid from Kidney Trails is on the broadcast. Want to give a shout out to Anthony, saying hello. And your friend Maggie Ray is here too, and she's Marge Threadgrill. Is that her regular name?
Yeah.
Is she saying hi to you today too?
Hi, Margie.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's my understanding that you had an 8-year wait before you got the call for a kidney transplant. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes, that's correct, Jim.
Did you
8 long years.
Did you have any health issues between the time that you went on hemodialysis and the time they called you for a transplant?
I did not. The only thing that I suffered from was high blood pressure. And the high blood pressure, like I said before, it comes from eating too much salt, drinking brown pops, and stress.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a note that you got the call from Rush on January 21st, 1999, telling you that they had a kidney for you. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Yes, actually, it was on a Wednesday, January the 20th, 1999. I was at hemodialysis, and I was receiving my treatment. And one of the nurses came over to me and said, just started acting kind of strange out of nowhere. And they were asking me, what are you going to do when you leave here today? Things like that. And then they say, well, we just got a call. And they said that they had a kidney available for you. And I was like, what? Oh my God. And the first person I called was my pastor. I called my pastor. I was like, Reverend Daniels, they got a kidney for me. Oh, I was the happiest person in the world. So they asked me, how long could it be before I can get to the hospital? So I was like, oh, I can come right now. So they was like, no, we want you to finish your treatment, and then you come on to the hospital. I tell you, Jim, once I finished that treatment, I got to that hospital. I went through registration. Them people in the hospital, they treated me so nice. I was scared. They treated me like, okay, you're on your way to heaven. Yeah, so they treated me so nice, and they was preparing me. I didn't know anything about transplantation and everything. They were preparing me, and they made me feel so comfortable. And yeah, that was the call. 1999, January the 20th, on a Wednesday.
Okay. The Brown family saying hello, Lisa.
Hello.
So you were transplanted on the 21st, 1999 at Rush Medical.
Yes, Rush University.
Okay. Tell us what happened immediately before the kidney transplant. What went on?
Oh, I was just full of joy. I was calling everyone, letting everyone know that, hey, I'm on my way to the hospital. I'm getting ready to have a kidney transplant. So that was one of the greatest days of my life.
Okay.
And actually, I knew a couple of people at the hospital, and that's how, in a way, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but
No, you're doing all
that,
right.
that's how, in a way, that's how I found out about my organ donor. So, yeah, during the time after I had the transplant and I was in the hospital, it's just amazing how God works.
Okay. So you had the transplant. I understand it was successful, and
Yeah,
this was from a deceased donor, correct?
yes, it was.
Coach Tom is saying that people, David and Tammy Pope, are saying hi.
Oh, now that couple right there, they saved my child. That when I was telling you about the doctors told me that my child was going to be Down syndrome. That couple right there, they prayed for me 30 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a deceased donor. I also understand that you've actually met your donor family. Is that right?
Yes, I did. Actually, I got a letter from Gift of Hope one year and told me that my donor family wanted to meet me. So, there's certain rules for meeting your donor family. Some donor families do not want to meet the person that they gave that organ to, and some people do. So you have to contact Gift of Hope, and they contacted Gift of Hope, and we made arrangements to meet up. And I met them at my church with my pastor, my grandmother, my mom, and a couple of more people from my church. And the strange thing that happened, Jim, is when when I met my donor family, it felt like it was the worst feeling in my life. It felt like my kidney that was lit to me was trying to come out of me and reach his family. Do that make any sense to you?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and I got so sick. I got sick after that. So I don't know if it was a good thing for me to meet them at that time. It maybe I got too overexcited, but I got really sick because, like I said, it felt like my kidney that was lent to me was trying to reach out to his family.
Okay.
Excuse me.
The
Hmm.
Brown family is sending me a reminder. They're saying the person that's trying to contact us is named Sharon. Does that ring a bell with you?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Um, did you meet with the family more than once, or just this one time?
I did. I met with them a couple of times, and actually, yeah, they actually I met them twice. I met them
Okay.
twice. Hmm.
What was the second time like?
Oh, the second time was during Donate Life Month. Like this is Donate Life Month. A
Yeah.
couple of years ago, they honored a couple of donor families, and my donor family got chosen. So I met them at a organization, but I felt okay that time. And so often, his son he sends me a email from time to time. Sometimes he sent me flowers.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, After the transplant, let's talk a little bit about your kidney advocacy. I was told that you did some work for the NKF of Illinois and their kidney walk. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I do. I usually walk for the National um, Kidney Walk. We have that every year to raise awareness about organ donation and people with kidney disease, people that can't speak for themselves. We are supporting them. And I do the two mile walk, and I work at the registration table. I help people fill out their information. And back in the 90s, I used to work for the National Kidney Foundation. I used to go downstairs in a basement and stuff letters and lick stamps and put stamps on the envelopes. But now they have, technology is different now. They don't do that anymore. So yeah, I did that I've been working with the National Kidney Foundation for over 20 years.
Okay. You mentioned something about the Transplant Games of America, and I remember seeing some posts a while back. I think it had something to do with swimming. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. The Transplant Games is open every 2 years to people that have had transplants, eye or cornea transplants. It opens up every 2 years for people with transplants, and we compete against people from all over the world. Matter of fact, these are some of my pens, and I have had the opportunity to meet people all over the world, and we get together in different states and we compete in different, it's a Olympic style games, and we compete against one another, and we earn medals, and we let people know that, it's a way of showing people that there's life after transplantation. Transplantation is not a cure, but it helps you along your life journey.
Okay. What kinds of events did you compete in with the Transplant Games?
Actually, I competed in track, bowling, swimming. Well, actually, the day I was supposed to went swimming in Salt Lake, Utah, that's when I taken sick. I got sick because the altitude was so high there that I wasn't able to participate in swimming. And what else did I? Yeah, those are some of the sports that I competed in.
Well, what I have a vague recollection. What I was recalling about the swimming is that you were kind of learning how to swim before you were competing. Is my recollection correct?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, it's this quote. They say that most Black people do not know how to swim. So as I was reading that article, I was like, you know what? That's true. But I'm going to change that. So I went to the YMCA and I started taking swimming classes. So I learned how to swim, and that's when I felt like I wanted to compete in swimming. So I took up some swimming classes, so now I know how to swim.
This is a determined person we have here in our broadcast tonight, folks. Tell us a little bit about your experiences with the Gift of Hope.
Yeah, Gift of Hope. I'm not sure if they were around before the National Kidney Foundation, but I think I was introduced to Gift of Hope first. And I I do volunteer work for Gift of Hope. I go around to different communities with Gift of Hope. We set up different tables with materials, and we let people know about organ donation, kidney disease, health screenings, and things of that. And I used to speak at different schools to the children about organ donation. And, I think the age is 17 now that you can sign up to be an organ donor. Is it 16 or 17?
16 or 17 in Illinois, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of volunteer for a while.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for doing that.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about you had a call from your transplant team in 2019. You know, I know they do continual testing after you're transplanted. What they asked you to come into the office. What was that discussion all about?
Actually, like you say, when you are a transplant recipient, we all have to be. We have appointments 3 to 6 months for a checkup. So during that time, actually, my kidney was like 21 years old, and I was called in the office, and the doctors they say we've been doing some tests on you, and we found a spot on your transplant kidney, and we think that it's cancer. I was like, what you mean you think it's cancer? You know, I don't feel different. You know, I can walk, I can exercise. What do you mean? They say, well, we're gonna have to remove your kidney. I was like, no, no, I can't let you all do that. They said, well, you could go get a second opinion. So I did. I went to Loyola and got it. I got 2, 3, what do you call it? Um, Opinions. So the guy at Loyola, he told me that he did see a little spot. So I say, well, you think I should let them remove my kidney? I didn't have this kidney for 21 years. So they say, well, it'll be best to go ahead and take it because if it starts to spread, you will have to have chemo um, therapy. So I went back to Rush and I prayed about it. And in one ear, I wanted to do it. And then the other ear, people was telling me, girl, don't let them doctors tell you that. Ain't nothing wrong with you. So I had to go with my doctors, you know, so I had to listen to them. So they told me that they would remove the kidney and I would have to have chemotherapy and I would have to go back on dialysis. I was like, oh my God. But I knew God was with me. I knew my faith was that strong that I was going to be able to do this. So I told my doctors, okay, come on, let's do this. So I went in the hospital. And during that time, my kidney was removed. And back on dialysis, I am today.
Okay. It's also my understanding from some of my other friends that when you have cancer or kidney cancer, they kind of wait a while to make sure that the cancer doesn't come back. Was that the same thing in your case?
Yes, they told me that I have to be 2 years clean from cancer in order to be able to be relisted for the organ registry. And during that time, the 21 years that I had been on transplanted, for some reason, I got back on the organ donors list. So I have some years in. I'm just listed now as inactive.
Inactive?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I am inactive. But the good news today, Jim, is that it's been 3 years. I am cancer free. I did not have to have no chemotherapy or anything. They caught that cancer that was in that transplanted kidney. But one thing I forgot to say is when you go on the transplant list and when they find a kidney for you, they will have you to sign this paper And it does say in something that in those small letters that some of the medicines that you will be taking, it can cause cancer. So, back then when you on dialysis, you'll say anything, yes, just to get off that dialysis machine. So, yeah, I had kind of knew that, that could happen, but I never thought it would happen to me. But it happened. So, like I say, God uses us for different reasons and purpose in life. So I bypassed that one, that testimony, that journey. So to let someone else know that is going through that there is hope.
Okay. It's my understanding that you're back on dialysis at this time. What kind of dialysis are you doing?
I am doing hemodialysis. I go to the dialysis unit 3 times a week. And it's some strange reason, Jim. Have you heard this saying, be careful for what you ask for because you just might get it?
Yes.
That's what happened to me. We are advocates, and I am a voice, and I like to speak for the patients. And I have always wanted to go back into the dialysis unit to see how the patients are doing. I didn't want to be a patient. I just wanted to see how the patients were doing so I can go to Springfield with you and let them know what needs to be done in the dialysis unit. But for some reason, I guess that's where God wanted me to be at the time. So I know what these patients need in the dialysis unit. And I am ready to go to the hills, to Springfield, to be a voice to those people that cannot speak for themselves.
Okay. You've mentioned to me that since the second time you've been on dialysis, you've had a few health challenges. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
I did. When I first went on this dialysis the second time, I started having some really painful stomach aches, and the doctors didn't know what to do. So they took me to surgery. And when I woke up with a colostomy bag on, and I panicked. And I was like, what is this? So I had to go. This was another journey that I had to go through with a colostomy bag on me for a year and a half. So after that journey, my transplant team got together and they were like, well, if you're going to have another kidney transplant, we got to get that out of you. So past March 24th, I went into the hospital and I had a reverse, and they took it out, and everything is doing good. I healed real good, and it's been 3 years now. And on the 19th of this month, my name is going back to the board to go back to the organ registry. And hopefully soon, sometime this year, I will be able to receive another kidney transplant.
Okay. Tell us, why do you want to receive another kidney transplant, Lisa? What are your goals?
Actually, being on dialysis, I feel like tomorrow tomorrow is not promised. There's people dying every day on dialysis. I'm in that number. And I'm just hoping it's not me.
Well, Lisa, I have great faith in you. I know you've been through some tough times, but it's my belief that you're going to get your second chance.
Thank you.
Okay? When you do get transplanted again, will you come back and talk to us about it?
I will. I will. I will.
All right. So the 19th, we've got our fingers crossed for you.
Yes. Yes. To
And
God be the
our
glory.
prayers going up, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to talk about tonight before we close our discussion? Is there anything else that you would like to say to our audience? Is there anything I missed that I should have covered?
Actually, if I can save one person's life, that would be my mission. And I just ask everyone during this Good Friday, holiday, Easter month, I ask everyone, when you gather around with your family, bring up organ donation. Ask your family, are they on the list? Is their name on their driver's license? You don't have to be an organ donor, but we would like for you to be one. Discuss your wishes with your family and your friends. Just let them know your wishes. Some of the things that you hear, they're not true. Some things are true, but there are so many people that are added to the list every day. Will it be you? Will it be someone close to you? We don't know. It is not a discrimination. Kidney disease does not have a discrimination, no age, no color. It can catch you off guard. Get your kidneys checked. Thank you for watching tonight.
Okay. I appreciate you taking time to come on and to talk to us, Lisa, and to educate us. I appreciate it very much. So I'm going to let you go now, my friend, if that's okay with you.
Okay, thank you for having me, Jim.
Oh, well, thank you, Lisa. What an inspiring story. You
Okay,
take
thank
care.
you.
You have a happy Easter, and you keep your Uncle Jim updated on what's going on, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. You have a good night, my friend.
Good night.
Let's see if I can get this to work. Well, maybe not. Okay, you're going to have to hang around for the announcements. So, okay. So what's going on next with the broadcast? On the 19th of April, we're talking to Glenn Frommer. He's doing a ride for PKD over 5,000 miles. He's trying to raise $50,000 for the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation. The ride starts May 1st. He's having an event on Saturday to kick off the ride. So interesting things going on Tuesday of this week. Next Friday night, we're talking to my good friend Steve Bundage. We're going to talk about his kidney transplant and also his kidney advocacy. On the 29th, we're talking to Dr. Sylvia Ross. She is a nephrologist and a diabetes expert. She's also the incoming president for the National Kidney Foundation. Should be an interesting conversation. On May 3rd, we're talking with Dr. Eric Parr. He's a PhD type doc, kidney transplant patient, works with kidney transplant patients. Should be an interesting discussion. On May 6th, we're talking with George Franklin. George has had a kidney transplant for 46 years. He's going to pass some of his wisdom along to us. May 13th, we're talking with Carrie Maxwell. Carrie is a kidney advocate, a PKD patient, And recently she won the Celeste Lee Costello Award from the National Kidney Foundation. That's the equivalent of being the Advocate of the Year. So we're anxious to talk to her. On May 20th, we're talking with Mike Lalo. He is the president of the National Kidney Donors Organization. We're going to learn about what the National Kidney Donors Organization and the National Kidney Registry do for transplant patients. On the 22nd, we're talking to Dr. James Lash and Dr. Bahardi about kidney disease and insomnia. And God, I hope that's all my notes. I think so. Yep. Okay. All right. So we will see you, my friends. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you everybody on Tuesday.